Hello, it's Dr. Vic here with this week's Ask Me Anything. And this week I am talking about consistency and burnout. This is a theme raised by Sorina. Thank you, Sorina. And the question I'm answering is how can someone be consistent without burning out or becoming too rigid? And I think this is particularly pertinent for women because there is an overarching narrative in the world right now, which is very much masculine energy, drive, get the reps in, set your goal, break it down into tasks, make it happen, 5 a.m. starts. Like, there's some merit to that. It is a great way to get stuff done, but particularly with female hormonal systems and energies, it can be a much surer and faster path to burnout than we sometimes realize. So, a couple of concepts that I think are perhaps helpful in relation to this question of balance around consistency versus burnout. The first thing I would say is that I really think it's beneficial to measure consistency over the arc of a long time period. So we often think consistency is, right, I have to work out every day, or 5 days out of every seven, I've got to get the workout in, or I've got to do my outreach every single day, and so on. And if we fall off of that, it can feel like I failed. The whole thing is over. I haven't been consistent. But I think it's much more helpful to look over an arc of a month, a quarter, half a year, or even a year. Like, as I look over a time period, have I been broadly consistent? And we should be consistent in rest and recovery just as much as we should be consistent in action and achievement. So, finding balance and thinking over a longer time period, I think, is one helpful way to view consistency that is less demanding. And what that leaves room for, which I think is super important, is matching your actions to your energy, to what your body needs. So I'm very consistent and committed to the way I work out and to the way I run my business, for example. And what I do is have fixed points within that. So I will lift weights 3 times a week, for example, but I don't have to do it on specific days. I don't have to do it at a specific time. And so if I wake up with the intention of working out and my body tells me this is not what you need today, then I will follow my body. And as long as over an arc of a fortnight, let's say, I get my 6 workouts in, then for me that's consistency. Even if they followed a jumbled pattern, even if I've done 3 days in a row and then done nothing for 4 days, that's okay. It's a different way of viewing consistency. So either thinking in terms of tasks rather than time. So I will achieve this many tasks, but when I slot those in, I'm relaxed about. And also allowing yourself the freedom to follow what your body and energy needs. Now, there is a caution on that, is that sometimes we are self-sabotaging or in procrastination. So you have to get really honest with yourself. Is it that my body is saying no today, or am I just feeling lazy or uncommitted, right? And it can be a very fine line to navigate. Um, but I think listening to your body is really important. And the other way that I express that is within my business, I will have a series of tasks that I know need to be done. Sometimes they're one-off tasks, sometimes they are the kind of regular tasks that I need to complete to keep my business motoring. What I don't do is time block. And you will often hear people say you should be time blocking. So every day between 10 and 11, you should do your outreach and, your client calls should be clustered in an afternoon or whatever. And I've been on many coaching programs that have strongly advocated that as an efficiency measure. But what I find is if I sit down to do a task that's very focused and administrative, but I'm feeling creative, I am much more effective if I follow the flow to get the creative task done, which is again why I say think in terms of tasks rather than time. So rather than time blocking and forcing yourself to do this at this time every day, actually just know that you've got these things to get done and allow yourself the freedom to flow with your energy. So by the end of the week, as you look back over the week, You've achieved the things you intended to achieve, but you've not forced yourself to get up at 6 a.m. to do something in particular or to wedge in a piece of admin when the sun was shining and you really want to be walking outside, or to show up on video on a day when you're feeling really puffy and not yourself, for example. I think a much happier balance and much less likely to risk burnout is when you are consistent in a more flowing way. So you know the stuff you want to get done, you're going to get it done, but you're not demanding of yourself that you do things at times and in moments when they don't feel good. Sometimes you're still going to have to knuckle down and get something done that just needs to get done, of course. But what I find is if I'm good to myself and flow with my energy, then when I have to dig deep to do the things I'm less keen on, it comes much more readily because I have more capacity built, because I have more happiness, more abundance of energy in my space. The other thing I will mention specifically in relation to burnout is that there is nothing that moves us toward burnout faster than misalignment to values. So when we are working in ways that contradict our most deeply held values, we are much more at risk of burnout. Our capacity to work at high energy and intensity over a period of time is much greater when we are working on or towards something we feel a strong degree of alignment towards. That doesn't mean we shouldn't take rest, but it does give us a greater capacity. Whereas when we are working out of alignment with ourselves, the internal friction that causes is extremely demanding on the system. And that is a really fast path to burnout. So watch out for that one. This is a space that sometimes needs a conversation. If you have a sense that you might be at risk of burnout, if you have a sense that you might be working against your values, I would really encourage you to book a mindset deep dive with me to take a check on that and to see whether there's any corrective action you need to take. So we will make sure that a link to to my diary for that type of session is below this video. That's a completely free session and it is open to all of you, subject to my availability. So book a mindset deep dive if you're on the edge with any of this stuff. But otherwise, play with what it feels like to be in consistent flow or flowing consistency as an alternative to rigid structure, and let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching.